Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. When we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them, and boy, oh boy, we got an episode for you guys here today. So make sure you like the channel, and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, let me get into this to this topic here. So yesterday, we produced a live reacting to the all-time rankings of Nick Wright. In his list, predictably, he had Michael Jordan ranked. Funny enough, actually, I thought he was going to have Jordan as the second greatest player of all time, but he ranked Michael Jordan as the third greatest player of all time. And during that live, I totally ripped his arguments to pieces, and I left a lot of his supporters in total disarray. I could tell by the comments that they were leaving. They were saying all type of silly stuff, right? And as we predicted in that live, right, I said that topic or whatever it is, that list that he put out was going to be one of the leading topics for their show First Things First on Monday, and that is exactly what they started off their show with. But thankfully, on their show, Chris Broussard, who's a co-host on the show, was on the panel, and he was able to put forth a rebuttal to the nonsense that Nick Wright basically spewed all over the sports community on Sunday. But before we get into the exchange between Nick Wright and Chris Broussard, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. What we want to do is we want to play a little bit of the exchange between Chris Broussard and Nick Wright. And what I want you guys to do is pay close attention to what Nick Wright says at the beginning, and also pay attention to what Chris Broussard had to say at the end, and then we're going to come back and unpack this thing. Take a listen to this right here.
Michael Jordan did not play 15 complete seasons. What about as an old guy? Because I've heard you guys explain to me, Jordan came back at 38 years old and led the Wizards to 37 wins. Kareem at 38 years old won finals MVP. Michael Jordan at 40 years old averaged 20 points per game for another 37-win Wizards team. Kareem at 40 years old averaged 22 points per game in the finals. And at 41, in a game 6, had the final play of the game drawn for him, hit 2 free throws, forced the game 7, won another championship. So that's as an old guy. What about as a young guy, Brew? Both were drafted to 27-win teams. Michael took his 27-win teams to 38 wins. Kareem took his 27-win team to 56 wins. Wow, that seems impressive. Oscar wasn't there yet.
I like hearing you give him his props. But Nick, out of respect for Kareem and LeBron, I'm not going to call this ridiculous or ludicrous or absurd. I'm just going to say you having Michael Jordan as the 3rd best player ever, or really of the last 50 years. I don't know, maybe you got Cousy or Pettit
it would be
of Jordan.
No,
all
it
time.
would be.
Okay?
This is ever.
For this top whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
But this is just wrong. You're wrong. You're flat out wrong. You're egregiously wrong. You're so wrong that all basketball friends, save you and probably Isaiah Thomas, my man, all right, from baby boomers to Generation X, Y, Z, Alpha, that's the new kids being born. They're all looking at this like, what?
Alpha.
They're flummoxed. They're astounded. They're aghast. Nick, come on, man. Michael Jordan is not the second best player ever. And he's certainly not the third best player. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Period. The end. No player, Nick, and you'll have to agree with this, has dominated the NBA like Michael Jordan has. Wilt Chamberlain did statistically, even more so.
Sure.
But he didn't win. Only 2 rings. Bill Russell did in terms of winning, even more so with 11. But he didn't dominate individually in terms of statistics. Only Michael Jordan has the incredible combination of individual statistical dominance and winning a ton of rings. All right, let me see the screen. Check out this full screen. I'm about to show you. Yeah. Right here. LeBron, Kareem. I'm waiting for the screen. Can I see it? Yeah. All right, here we go.
Oh, that's too
Michael
much. I can't
Jordan
read all
did
that.
more in fewer seasons. You're right. He only played 15 seasons. LeBron and Kareem, 8, 19, and 20. Jordan's got more rings than LeBron. He's got 6 of those categories, tied with Kareem for titles. Most three-peats. There have only been 3 in the last 50 some odd years. Jordan's got 2 of them. Most finals MVPs. League MVP, 1 below Kareem. Most scoring championships. Look, he led the league in categories 13 times. Kareem 7, LeBron 2. 9-time first team all defense. And then PER for the analytics nerds. He's the best ever. Yeah. All right, Kareem, Nick, I don't want to take anything away from you. Kareem was not the best player on his last 3 championships, and arguably the last 4. Because in 1982, Magic Johnson led the Lakers in rebounds, assists, and steals, and averaged 18 points to Kareem's 23.
So where do we even begin with this nonsense? Where do we even begin? Just to show you how terrible Nick Wright is at making his case, he ends up using an argument against Michael Jordan that actually exposes the silliness of having LeBron over Jordan. If you guys pay close attention to what he said at the beginning of that audio, he said, listen to this. He said at the age of 38, Jordan was only able to lead the Washington Wizards to 37 wins. But what he forgets to notice is that LeBron, at the age of 37, who was 1 year younger than Jordan, led the Los Angeles Lakers last season to 33 wins. But he thought he was saying something profound, like, oh, this is a great point, and I'm going to say it. It was silly. Let me tell you the roster that Michael Jordan had to play with on the 2002, 2003, or 2003, whatever season, that year that was. No, it was the 2002, 2003 season when they won 37 games. They went 37 and 45. His teammates were Kwame Brown, Brian Cardinal, Juan Dixon, Anthony Goldwire, Brendan Haywood, Larry Hughes, Jared Jeffries, Christian Laettner, Tyronn Lue, Charles Oakley, Brian Russell, Bobby Simmons, Jerry Stackhouse, Jahadi White, and Ian Thomas. Those were Jordan's teammates that season, and he was only able to get 37 wins at the age of 38. Good. Now, let's look at LeBron's roster last season at the age of 37. Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, I don't think he played any games. Kent Bazemore, Avery Bradley, Anthony Davis, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Stanley Johnson, Russell Westbrook, and I think, was it Rajon Rondo for a short period of time, and Malik Monk and DeAndre Jordan at various points. Let me ask you guys a question. Just from listening to those 2 lists, which one of those teams do you think had more talent? I think it would obviously say it was the Los Angeles Lakers. But nevertheless, he used that point to feel as if he was saying something profound. And Nick Wright supporters, I'm sure, heard that and were like, man, that's a great point. Yeah, go Nick. You really got him on the run now. I'm sure that's what they thought. Listen, yesterday in that live, we laid out a litany of reasons why it is actually laughable to have Michael Jordan ranked as the third greatest player. And you know who Nick Wright is going to have in number one, because he has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in number two. So, of course, he's going to have LeBron number one. Let me just quickly run through some of those points that we made in that live yesterday. I'm not going to take a lot of your time because it's silly, right? Jordan was obviously the better offensive player. It's not even a question. He has the highest regular season scoring average in the regular season and the highest scoring average in the playoffs. Jordan was one of the few players that actually gets better in the NBA playoffs. That's number one. Michael Jordan has a total of 173 40-point games to LeBron's 69 40-point games. That's number two. So clearly he's a better player with 10 scoring titles to go with that to LeBron's 2. Good. He's obviously the better defender. He's made 9 all-first defensive teams. 9 all-first defensive teams, and he has the defensive player of the year. To LeBron, I believe, has made 5 all-first defensive teams and 1 second or 2 second, right? So obviously he's a better player. Jordan has been a part of 2 three-peats. LeBron has never even been a part of 1. Jordan has a dynasty in the NBA. What's the LeBron James dynasty? When did that ever happen? There were dynasties happening on top of LeBron's head while he was playing, right? So that's the second thing. Let's look at the competition, because this doesn't get discussed as much. LeBron James in his NBA career is 10-9. 10-9 against teams that are against 50-plus win teams in the playoffs. 10-9. That means he's faced 19 teams. Michael Jordan, on the other hand, is 27-7 against 50-plus win teams in the playoffs, which means Jordan has faced 27 50-plus win teams, which means he's literally faced more competition in the playoffs. So I don't know what y'all be talking about. Why y'all are so impressed how he got to the finals 10 times. It's obvious to see that he was playing against weaker competition, because when he was playing against stout teams, he struggled. He basically had a 500 record basically against teams that were stout. Now, when we're talking about 60-plus win teams, LeBron is 3-4. Michael Jordan is 7-2. Where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? It's silly, but I'm gonna keep hammering it home. Let's talk about all of the help that Michael Jordan played with versus LeBron James. Jordan played with 2 top 75 players. 1 in his first three-peat, but 2 with Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. LeBron has played with 4 top 75 players just last year, and he couldn't even make it into the play-in tournament. Forget about the playoffs. Now let's take it a step further. Let's look at all of the combined all-star appearances, which is a good representation of the talent pool that both Jordan and LeBron had to play with. Michael Jordan played with a combined 10 all-star appearances from his teammates throughout his NBA career. Scottie Pippen had 7, Horace Grant had 1, I believe, and Dennis Rodman had 2. LeBron James has played with a combined 93 all-star appearances. And I want to give you guys a fun fact and something for you guys to think about. Jordan played with the Chicago Bulls for 12 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, although he played 15, but he missed 1 year. But let's say he played 12 full seasons. Okay. He won 6 championships in those 12 seasons, which means that for 50% of the time that he was in the NBA, that he was with the Chicago Bulls, he was winning championships. Now, here's the kicker. In the first 5 years of Michael Jordan's career, he never played with a single all-star. And in the other years, while he was with the Chicago Bulls, he won 6 NBA championships. So one could make an argument that Jordan only really played with an all-star for 7 years of his NBA career? 7 years. 7 years. Jordan was winning championships roughly 40% of the time while he was in the league, while he was competitive, or 45% of the time. LeBron is going on 20 years. He's only won 25% of the time. With the amount of help that LeBron has had, LeBron should have at least 10 championships. And you should be standing up and clapping for Jordan, who was able to win 6 with that little help. If Jordan had the help that LeBron had, how many championships do you think Jordan would have had? He'd probably have 10. So I'm going to say it once more. There is no argument, not one to justify why you would have, or why he would have in this case, Jordan ranked number 3, case closed.